Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Uh, Thanks for stopping by today. I want to introduce one of my vinyl buddies, Ken. Hey, Ken.
Hey, Adam, good morning.
Good morning. I trust you're doing well today and ready to make it happen. Yeah, I'm gonna sneak over here to the YouTube and get this little chat muted on my YouTube. So I'll be right back. And all right, there we go. So that's done. Yeah. So how are things, sir? You've been playing some cool vinyl during the pandemic and stay at home?
Yep, most definitely.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of people, more more time at home, more time with my vinyl.
Yeah, yeah. And I also see some CDs. I'm not a CD snob at all.
There's a
Yeah.
bunch of CDs too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna I pulled some records that I had no reason for pulling these. Just this morning I was like, I gotta pull some records, and I thought I pulled some records from my local section. So this is Mitch Easter. What a cool cat. Less active, him and Sarah and some of the other cool people. I did pull one where it's kind of hard to read the text, but that's totally okay. But hey, Mitch, still running. Got a really good start with working with Don Dixon doing some REM stuff. So that was really good for him. Yeah.
That's He's one of my all-time favorites. The Mitch is amazing.
Oh, yeah, and then he got signed to a major label, IRS, and I think he did some things with Island. I can't remember, but and then he did some production for some other bands, which released some really good records. Yeah, yeah. How about you? What have you there to talk about?
Well, I pulled. Didn't know exactly what to pull since it's not the store. I don't know what you actually have over there
Oh,
right
it's not
now.
about that. It's just about vinyl.
Just talking about vinyl.
Yeah.
So I came up with the idea I came up with was to pull a bunch of compilations. First off, I like a compilation album, various artist album. But for me, I've always liked the variety. This doesn't replace the fact that none of these records are Moon Dance or Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon or anything like that. That is a timeless, wonderful, beginning to end, amazing classic. But they're revelatory. They give you a story. They tell a story of a time and place. These particular records are all compilations with a region in mind, like a regional label put them together, or they're a compilation of North Carolina bands or
Mm-hmm.
Georgia bands, or that sort of thing. And at the time when you back in the day, which is I don't know, how many people are of my age in this group or not. But back in the day, we didn't have all that many ways to check out music other than to actually either go over to a friend's house and listen to it, go to your record store and listen to it, or take it home and listen to it on an album. And that's how you found out about new bands and new artists that you liked, or and sometimes became really important artists for you. So a lot of these were picked up at that time. But when I listen to them now, it's like it's a time and place. There's a real zeitgeist to it, and I think that's it's pretty great. It takes me a little someplace else.
Absolutely.
And
Sometimes you would buy the record just based on the cover looks interesting and appealing.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. So let's see. The first one, again, let's start with North Carolina, since that's where we are. I'm in Charlotte
Ooh.
these days. This is
Mondo.
Mondo
Love it.
Montage. It's called
Yeah.
for North Carolina artist. This came out in 1983 on Dolphin Records, which isn't around anymore. Um, but it's got, ironically, Let's Active on it. It also has let's see. Some of these artists I don't remember. I do remember the Snap from Raleigh, Arrogance, which was Don Dixon's band before he went solo, and also worked with Mitch and did a lot of production. Rick Rock from Chapel Hill, who later on I think became Parthenon Huxley. Is that right? Do you remember that guy?
Yes,
And Moon Pie from Raleigh, which was a band that moved to Raleigh from an area of South Carolina that I had lived in at the time too. And two or three others I'm not as, oh, and the X-Teens were kind of a big deal at the time too. And this is, it's got that sound, that 80s sound, but it's also got that sort of North Carolina pop sensibility. It's a really cool record.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Good morning, Chris. It was a pleasure of Alvin studying the art on the covers while listening. Better than a cereal box. Yeah. So so you happen to have Mondo. Can I say your cover again? And I have more Mondo.
Oh,
Yeah. And so I don't know if there was a third one or not, but yeah, it's really cool. And it was great to get these North Carolina bands on vinyl. I remember seeing first the Kiss Live album. Absolutely. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I enjoy listening to Mondo and more Mondo. I have a copy of each in my personal listening library, so I like pulling those out. Sometimes it's just so refreshing.
yeah. Along those lines, is this one? Do you also have Frequency with the NC?
I don't
And
have
the
it on
rest of the
vinyl. I have that on CD. I love the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, great art on that one.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out exactly the angle on this camera yet, but there, it's a little better, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Just Glass Moon, PKM, absolutely.
this one was from 1990.
Was that the fundraiser when the tower came down? Or was that a different one? Frequency is, never mind. I'm getting my local bands confused. I think it was XYC or XDU. They lost their tower, so they released a fundraiser. Yeah. Yeah. Well, who's on Frequency?
So, and this one's got leads off with the Velt, who were an important band at the time. It's got some people I don't know. Dylan Fence is on here. Greg Humphreys still going, right? Finger, which featured Brad Rice. You might know Brad. He played with a lot of people. Tiff Merritt. He ended up playing with Bolt for a while. Black Girls, I remember. Johnny Quest, kind of a funky sort of Chili Peppers style thing. They were good. I remember seeing them several times. A Picture Made, and some of these I don't remember, but I can read them to you. Mary on the Dash, and Siamese Urbane, Vanilla Trainwreck, Black Girls, The Popes.
I like Black Girls. I have some of their records. I've never seen them live, but I did see the last one time I saw Vanilla Trainwreck. I saw their last show, and I enjoyed that. Yeah. Yeah. There's probably not many of those left, Chris. That's for sure. I mean, of course, we have up in Carborough, Cats Cradle, and but it's Cats Cradle. And I'm sure there were some in Charlotte where local bands would play, or maybe just regional bands from the East Coast would go and play. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real Johnny Quest. Yeah, there's a real concern that a lot of independent concert venues are not going to make it through this pandemic. because they're closed and can't open. And it's going to be a while before they can open if they don't get some relief somehow, some way. The survey in Billboard that said something like 90% of independent, and that means not owned by the big, Live Nation type groups,
Right.
may not make it if this goes on for 6 months. So it's a very sobering thing. Hopefully that does not happen.
Yeah,
We need the
absolutely.
local music.
Yeah. So Nantucket, prior to the pandemic, was still playing out. And yeah, absolutely. Mother's Finest. I think they were Georgia.
Georgia,
Yeah, I like them. Good.
great band. They were still going.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
them a few years back. They were terrific still.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Anything else in your bag of goodies?
I can keep going, but you
Please
want me
do.
to? Would you like to?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just talk about vinyl. I can show one a little later too.
All right. This one is so I went to school in Athens, Georgia, and this, of
Ooh,
course, it's a big scene for music as well as very much like RDU, Chapel Hill,
I'm
and
gonna
the
over you.
Athens, Georgia Inside Out record,
Yes, yes, yes.
which was all live. There was a film that went with this, kind of a documentary on the Athens music scene. And of course, everybody knows REM, but there were a tremendous number of really good bands from the area that were mainly on local labels. Uh, the other exception to this one might be Pylon. A lot of people have heard of.
Yes,
Terrific band.
yes.
Who are now doing, there's this thing called, you're familiar with the Pylon Reenactment Society?
Yeah, yeah, I've read about that. Yeah.
Terrific. I got a chance to see them recently, and they were great with Vanessa, the original singer, still doing it with this other band, behind her. Terrific. But it also has flat duo jets on it, which Dexter was from Chapel Hill, I believe, and ended up in REM, or ended up in Athens. I mean, and Love Tractor. A lot of people know Love Tractor,
Hmm.
and they're on here as well. Squalls and Dream So Real also had records out. Dream So Real ended up with a record contract. Ended up on Arista for a heartbeat.
Yeah,
2 seconds of fame.
yeah, that's awesome. Vanessa from Pylon, her cousin lives up in Lewisburg,
Uh,
and he loves classic country, like 50s, 60s country, and it's always neat to hear him sharing things about Vanessa as well as sharing things about um, anything that's happening with Pylon, like some of the reissues and things like that. Record Store Day. Good morning, Mike. How are you doing today? Thanks for joining us. Folks, with me today is my guest, Ken Norton. Thanks for stopping by, Ken, and hanging out with us. The
pleasure.
Connells, yeah, the Connells, wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. This record came in a buyback. I'm going to show you this real quick. Ken, you may recognize this. I don't know these cats per se, but it's just somebody that had a budget and they made their own record. They're called The Holidays. Well, the thing for me is that this was recorded at Reflections Studio in Charlotte. So there was lots and lots and lots of wonderful local talent that was recorded at the studio, and local and regional. So yeah. Any reflection stories on your end?
Reflections. I mean, have tons of records that were recorded at Reflection. Was a big fan of Don Dixon. Frequently was recording engineer or producer at Reflection for anybody who was recording pop. My understanding was Reflection started as a gospel music studio and branched out. And I've never been to the studio though. I think Adam knows I was in a band in the mid '80s, and we we recorded one single, but we were based out of Greenville, South Carolina, and we didn't have budget for Reflection. We weren't on that level.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that band very well. Yeah. And where did you guys record?
We recorded locally in Greenville at what was the name of the? I think it was just called Studio B.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Is that where we recorded Fragile?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Doc Holliday, that was another wonderful local band. And I don't know how big they got, but they were pretty cool too. Yeah. I think I have a Doc Holliday right here. We didn't plan to talk local. I told Ken he's welcome to talk anything, but Doc Holliday rides again.
All right.
Yeah. They were on A&M Records. Same label as the Carpenters. Yeah. They were label mates for the Carpenters. There was a ton of great music from Georgia. Wasn't the producers? I think so. Or
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Atlanta. They were an Atlanta band.
Yeah.
So we can go there next. So this is a compilation from. We were talking also about local clubs. The 688 was a club in Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the day, and right downtown, very near the Varsity, if you know where that is in Atlanta.
Yeah. Wow.
And this was a compilation of bands on that label. Now, the Fleshtones, I don't think were from Atlanta, but Driving to Crying was. I think Dash Rip Rock may have been from Tennessee. I'm not positive, but they ended up in Atlanta. Arms Akimbo and the Vinyl Liners. Don't remember them, but it was a time and a place with a sound.
We had a Raleigh Dash Rip Rock, and there was a California Dash Rip Rock, and there could have been a lot, but Rod Abernathy was involved in the local Dash Rip Rock.
Okay.
Rod later went on to be part of Arrogance. And I think whenever Arrogance gets back together, when they do their reunion shows, that he's usually part of that. Yeah. You never knew there was a band called Doc Holliday? How about that? Yeah.
Random connection. So there's another. I think.
One of your all-time.
This album. Making was it the Almonds or?
It was James Brown, right, Mike? James Brown. It's your favorite band, James Brown and the JBs and Maceo and Fred and all those cool people, right? Right, Mike? I'm sure it was the Allman Brothers. Yeah. Well, speaking of the producers, what a wonderful image for a cover of a band. I mean, it's just great. Good stuff. Good stuff. And we're very fortunate because we live in an area where we can still find lots of this wonderful music. And I'm sure if we went to California, we could find these wonderful bands and records in the dollar bin and just make them happen. Yeah. Almonds, yes.
But most of these, most of this music you're not going to find on Spotify or Amazon or anything like that in terms of a streaming, because it was a time and place, and it wasn't on a major distributed record label.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I doubt you would find a lot of this stuff to stream. You just have to find it. Crate digging.
Absolutely. Hey, David, thanks for joining us. Guadalcanal Dairy they were Georgia, right, Ken?
That's right. Yep. They were definitely one of those, and that's that time and place too. Yeah. Great band.
I discovered REM, and then maybe a year or two later, I discovered Guadalcanal Diary, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And I have more Guadalcanal Diary at home than I do REM, if that says anything, folks. Yeah.
Some Boston stuff.
Yeah.
I brought to Boston too.
Yeah.
This is a Boston area compilation from around the same idea, same time, from a record label called Throbbing Lobster.
Oh, wow.
You can see why it would be called Throbbing Lobster, because the Boston famous for the lobsters.
Yeah.
And there's some great bands on this. Do you remember Scruffy the Cat?
Yes.
They're on
Yes.
here. And Dump Truck, which was a terrific band. I saw them several times. The Prime Movers were a really good band.
Oh, yeah.
And a band called Christmas. Do you remember that?
I don't.
They were,
How did you find that record? How did that record come to you?
well, this one, let's see.
Cheers.
I would imagine, I don't remember absolutely for sure, but looking at the sticker on it, still has a sticker on it. I didn't take the plastic wrap off of it, apparently. This probably came from one of the record stores I would frequent when I was in college, maybe like Wax and Facts or Wuxtree
Ooh,
in
okay.
Athens, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Absolutely amazing. Chris Johnson referenced Glass Moon earlier, and I do enjoy listening to Glass Moon myself, and our own little treasure from Raleigh. And so, and Rod Abernathy did work with Glass Moon some. So,
What's Rob Abernathy doing now? Is he still doing work?
so he has been very successful with doing audio for music for video games. So your children, your nephews, your nieces are probably playing video games that Rob Abernathy provided the music for. So he's done really well there. I mean, extremely well. Extremely well. And so, which is great. But he's still, so Rod comes into the shop, and I don't think I'm sharing anything that he won't share. But he loves Leo Kake. He loves a lot of that jazz finger picking guitar, as well as more rootsy finger picking guitar. And so he performs with his guitar, and he's great. He released a record last year or so. It's a CD. I have it, and he's doing really well. And occasionally, I think there's an Arrogance get together and let's play some music. So he did some virtual concerts during the pandemic, and hopefully he'll do more because he's really good. But he likes to come here and check out records, and whenever I find Arrogant stuff, I just put it to the side. But I ended up getting one of his first records, which was released in the 70s on a major label. I think it was Verb Folkways, or I can't remember, but it was on a pretty major label, and he presented it to me, and it was sealed, factory sealed. So I'm like, so that's really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. I have a lot of very good stuff. Talented player. Yeah. My turn, your turn. It doesn't matter, but
okay, you go.
So I just happen to have a few of these. This is the Cigarettes, and they're Raleigh. They're kind of known for being. Some people say they're Raleigh's first punk rock band. Some people say they're North Carolina's first punk rock band. But this is the Cigarettes, and Byron McKay, who was one of the engineers at Jag Studios, which some of the recordings from COC, John Custer stuff, DAG. I think that was recorded at Jag. But anyway, Jag was a wonderful studio, and pick up a little Raleigh cassette, CD, vinyl. It's like Jag Studios, and you're like, but Byron's very talented, and so yeah, the Cigarettes, yeah, and they were very punk motivated, and they were just telling all sorts of stories between songs and saying all sorts of non-radio friendly words. So Byron's a cool cat to talk to. I like chatting with him. He can go all day long with story after story after story. Not only with the cigarettes, but also during his recording studio. He would be a good guy to have on coffee and vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got some stories.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. What was your favorite crate digging store in Athens when you were in college there? I'm sure there
Oh,
was more than one.
it was the Wuxtree, place called the
Oh,
Wuxtree. It's still there. It's right on the
okay.
corner of I think Clayton and I can't remember the other street, crossing street, but great store. Pretty part of the folklore of Athens was that was where Peter Buck was working when he met Michael Stipe. Michael Stipe was coming in and buying records, and they got in a conversation and formed a band after that. A couple
Oh,
of
that's
7,
that is
8,
awesome.
19 years old or something like that.
Yeah, this is for you.
Oh, do
This
I have a lot of vinyl? I do. I probably have. I'm like a lot of people. When I moved one time, I did sell some off, and definitely regret it now. But I didn't sell half. I just sell maybe, I don't know, a quarter or whatever. So I probably have somewhere just south of 1,000 records, uh, and something like that on CD too.
yeah. Um, yeah. I'm probably around the same amount. Um, yeah. Of course, not to mention the inventory at the stores where I can pull stuff and listen to that I don't necessarily take home and put in my library. So, yeah.
Probably this year, probably bought 75 records so far this year, something like that. 50 to 75, something like that.
It's very tempting with all the cool new bands and the cool reissues. And I tell you, the labels are doing a really good job of throwing on an extra song or two to get us to pay $30 or $40 for a record that we already own. So, well, it's been remastered, and it's just awesome. And then of
Yeah.
course, the record store day appeal. Got to get this one. Got to get this one. There's only 500 made. Yeah.
Now or never.
I was fortunate. Grew up in the area, and we had this wonderful radio station. And this radio station was very supportive of local music. It was almost an independent station, but it was owned by a big insurance company, and they were called WQDR, and they were like so laid back. We're gonna play the whole side of it, and they were just amazing. But they not only would they play rock and new wave and album oriented rock, they played the mess out of Mike Cross, and and
But
I can almost sing this record start to finish. I heard it so much growing up, and just from listening to the radio, and it wasn't until much later that I got me a copy. But Don Dixon is on this record, and it's just amazing. So I always tell people, treat yourself to this record on. It's called The Bounty Hunter. Find it on YouTube and play it, and treat yourself. See what you think. Yeah. Past 1,100. Oh, well, there you go. You're ready to open up a record store. I got about 1,000 CDs. Yeah. CDs are cool. CDs are very affordable. Yeah, the doctor is in.
yeah, you passed me, buddy. Great job. I got some catching up to do.
Oh boy. And thank God for YouTube, so I can take care, Chris. Enjoy your morning. Thoroughly enjoy this morning's coffee and wine chat. Thank you, Chris. And thank God for YouTube that we can find stuff that we just can't find. We can listen to it. So there you go. Okay. You have something ready, Ken?
Sure. Well, more on the theme. So local wise, I moved to Columbia, South Carolina to work at a record store in 1989. And this is a record. And if it looks blurry, it's not your screen or the signal or anything. It's actually intended to be blurry like that. That's how they took the shot. And oh, it's got a plastic sleeve on it, it's making that a little harder to see. I take it off. There they are, the bands of Columbia, South Carolina in 1988. And some of you folks may recognize a few of these guys, but maybe not. Not as big a was not as big a scene as Raleigh, Chapel Hill, or Athens. Although the bands were frequently very good. It was a good scene, college rock scene. There was a band called the Blue Laws that a lady named Danielle Howell was in, and she's had a long career, solo career. There was a band called the Bachelors of Art that were popular at the time and around there. This guy, Jay Matheson, from the band, still operates a studio in Columbia.
That name sounds familiar.
Lay quite a while. And there was a band called a popular punk band. This band singles itself for apparently quite a bit on YouTube, if you can find them. I mean, not on YouTube, but eBay, if you can find them. They're called Bedlam Hour. And they were kind of a big deal at the time. And very good and cool guys for sure. And some others that you probably would not had a chance to hear of. I barely remember them, and I lived there at the time. But I got the Phil Collins reference, huh?
There you go.
Not bad.
There you go. Wow. It's just amazing how every pocket across America, around the world, has wonderful talent that only a small portion of the world gets to hear. Yeah. And that's a treasure. Yeah. We had a band called the Cartridge Family. They released this little split 12-inch with Terry Anderson on the other side. And Cartridge Family, I saw them once. They played, I was part of this art studio, and they came and played one night at a party, and they were really cool.
It's a great name. Don't know them, but that's a great name.
Yeah, and they have a full-length CD, but this has 4 songs. Yeah. Cartridge Family. They were a mess. I mean, they were a mess. They were there to party. They brought the music. Yeah. I can show the Accelerators. Another band. This is a hotel in front of the Purina dog manufacturing facility here in Raleigh. And the photographer captured it well. And yeah, it's a really good band. I wish I had some sponge tones to show, but I didn't bring any in. Yeah, sponge tones.
So they were great. Those guys are still playing around. The Accelerators were a band that I had twice connected with. Those guys were from they were from South Carolina. Some of them were from South Carolina and moved to Raleigh because it was a better scene. You could actually possibly make a living being a band in Raleigh, and you couldn't really do it where they were from. So that's Brad Rice, right, who we mentioned earlier, and who was in Finger as well. And Duncan was in a band called Moon Pie, which was on that one of those more Mondo records. It became, I think Moon Pie really pretty much became the Accelerators. Does that sound right? I think they just morphed into.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
And the bass player of the band lived down the street from me when I lived in Greenville. And he had another band called K, just the letter K.
K? I like that.
K, which was named after the Pylon song K. He was great. He was a super cool guy. They were a great band. really good. Gerald Duncan really wrote some great songs, and that record was on Profile, right?
Yes.
Profile Records.
Yeah. Profile, the corner cut.
Which right, which was like a pseudo major label. Certainly had national distribution. So they did pretty well at the time.
Yeah. And
that's a fine record.
Yeah, yeah. And so, we were just talking about Rod Abernathy and Don Dixon and all the likes of that. So when you look at the credits, you'll see things like it looks like these songs were recorded at different places, but produced by John Dixon, produced by Ron Abernathy. Additional engineers Byron McKay, Jag Studios, and Cigarettes. And then recorded at Jag Studios, and it just goes on and on and on. It seems like Rod Abernathy plays synth on one of the songs, and yeah, it's just Gerald Duncan. Where did you say he's from? I know that he lives in Raleigh now.
He's originally from like the Clemson, South Carolina area, maybe Seneca or one of those towns, but they played. They started around South Carolina, playing the little local clubs like we were talking about before.
Yeah. Gotta go make hot coffee. Nice meeting you, Ken.
Nice meeting you.
All right. Take care, Mike. Thanks for stopping by.
Stay nice.
Take it away, Ken. Take it away now.
So Gerald Duncan, great guy, real good songwriter. He was one of the first in the scene in my area of South Carolina, which would have been, gosh, man, I mean, that was like early 80s when he got started. But as we mentioned, he moved to Raleigh, just a better place to have a band. More places to play, more people to come see you, and did extremely well. Brought Brad with him. Brad was from the same area, and like I said, the bass player, whose name just escaped me, used to also live in Greenville, from the same area.
Player, who would that be? Mike Johns.
Mike Johns, that's right. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brad Rice, what was he? He's done something really big recently. He's part of something that more people may recognize the name.
Oh, that's right. He ended up playing with wasn't it Keith Urban? Is that right? Somebody big in country music. I think it's Keith Urban.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a situation where whoever it was is a recovering from substance addiction, and I don't want to say that I know anything, that I don't, but I think there was some sort of similarity connection there potentially, but may have had something to do with it.
I think he played in Whiskey Town also. I think he played in Whiskey Town for a little while, but yeah, Keith Urban, that's probably a really good gig he got there. Yeah. Absolutely. Good for him. I'm like so excited. It looks like Adam. Hey, Adam. Thanks for joining us this morning. I've been listening, but can't participate in the chat much. I'm driving.
Yeah. Good thinking.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you.
Oh, absolutely. He's
kind of
coming to visit me.
Kind of got the Sturgill Simpson look going on there.
I got that profile. Yeah, he's coming to visit me Saturday in Wake Forest. Is today Friday? Yes, he's coming tomorrow to visit me in Wake Forest, and I'm looking forward to that. So right here, I have a light. I have a window, and the sun is coming. I have a curtain there, but the sun's coming through now, so I'm getting all bright. Didn't do my makeup right this morning. Just so much music.
That's why the Phil Collins hat, and a little bit of COVID hair, and
there you go. Yeah,
it's not doing so great.
I can't believe I have hair. I can't believe I used to keep it just because when I ride around the roaster, it's much easier. Yeah. I'm sure someone's got to have noticed the fabulous knobs on the background.
I see that.
I'm definitely going to play this again today. The Fabulous Snobs. Deborah D'Amelio. She follows me on social media. It's always good to see her. And so, but I never saw the Knobs, but I would like to.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm honored to have Deborah D'Amelio join me for Coffee and Vinyl one day. Such a watching the videos and just watch her perform. It's just amazing. Yeah. So there you go. But good stuff. The Fabulous Snobs, and Dave Adams was on here, and of course Dave was in Glass Moon right there. So it looks kind of like a young Billy Corgan there from a distance. And Terry Anderson is on here, and of course David Enlow. He was a very talented guitar. Is a very talented guitarist.
I remember that band well. I think I did see them. In fact, I know I did see them.
Wow.
But, yeah, I can't remember exactly where I saw them. Full more exposure. I mentioned that I was in a band in the mid '80s. So part of the band, namely the bass player, she was from Chapel Hill, and her father's a professor there, or was. So we played as many shows in North Carolina as we did in South Carolina because, again, there was hardly any place to play in South Carolina. And there was plenty of places in North Carolina that were great. She had connections by virtue of having, grown up in Chapel Hill and gone to college there and everything like that. So we, were able to play Cats Cradle. Oh, you did. So we played the Cats Cradle a number of times. We also played the Fallout Shelter, which I think you mentioned the other day.
Yeah.
Dick Hodgins was the connection there, and Dick was managing this other band from Greenville called the Popular Mechanics, who were basically the other band from Greenville that was doing anything. Who were great. They were sort of a Nuggets style, 60s revival kind of thing. And fantastic band, lots of fun to see. So Dick was managing them. We knew Dick through them, and we played at the Fallout Shelter, which he was booking at the time a number of times. And he was managing a number of bands right back in the day. I don't know if he's still around or not. I haven't heard his name in a while. He would be older because I think he was considerably older than us at the time. But
he's still around. I'm not sure what he's doing. He showed up like as a judge for a talent show or something like that. I remember seeing in the last few years. But yeah, he's still around. And he's always talking about, I recorded Hootie and the Blowfish. So there you go.
Hootie, yeah. He had his Hootie. That's right. He had the Hootie connection. So I was working in record stores in Columbia, South Carolina at the time that Hootie blew up. And, we were all tied in with the Hootie guys. Super, super guy. Everything anybody's ever said about how great guys they are is 100% true. Some of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. Not big heads. They never developed big heads or anything. Just great guys. And they touched the nerve at the right time there.
Yeah, and absolutely. And then dozens of bands came out that sounds like them, and every label had to get somebody that sounds like,
Sure.
Well, that's cool, Dick Hoggins. So there you go. Do you remember who you played with when you played at the Fallout Shelter and the Cats Cradle?
Wow. Yes. My memory isn't always the best.
Yeah. Well, if you ever find the flyers or go through the scrapbook, I'll be interested to know. I don't
dig around. I have to dig around. My old bandmates I'm still in touch with. In fact, they have a podcast called Singles Going Steady, where they review mostly old singles, some new. Singles Going Steady. It's the guy who was the leader of the band and the gal who I just mentioned, who was from Chapel Hill, reviewing. Like they'll spend like 20 minutes talking about the DB's amplifier single, right?
Yeah.
Play a little piece of it, talk about where they were when they first heard it, and kind of go down memory lane a little bit. but also not just like yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's great. Definitely recommend it. Not just because I'm connected with it. Lots of people listen to it. They've gotten a big, I'd say big, not super big national following, but they've gotten connected with a few people who you would know, like real current recording artists. Like Ron Sexsmith apparently listens to it every week.
Mhm.
So it's worth a spin for sure. How to get down that rabbit hole. They would remember where we played, and they sometimes mention, "Oh, we opened for Mercyland or whoever the band was at the time. We opened for a lot of people. We kind of got around opening, but we're never big enough to headline much of our own stuff, you know. But things were
Wow.
open then, where people were open-minded about letting you open for the local band. Pressure Boys, we opened for the Pressure Boys more than once. And you remember those guys?
Band I never saw. Band I never saw, but I enjoy listening to their records.
They were cool, nice guys. John Plymall, I think, is still doing things. I see his name pop up every so often.
You
And he
may
was
know the answer. I've heard it said that either they were employees of or they own Record Bar. What, the Pressure Boys?
yeah, they had a connection to Record Bar. I don't think they owned it. I used to know the guy that owned it
They
in
work
those
in the
days.
warehouse and they put together a band. I mean, I want to know the answer to that. I've heard so many different stories. So,
Oh
Pressure Boys,
yeah,
if you're listening,
yeah,
yeah.
Pressure. Uh, but yeah, can't recall all the bands that we played with up that way. But Pressure Boys was definitely one of them.
Oh, that's totally cool. Yeah, yeah.
There was a band called Other Bright Colors. Do you remember that band?
Yes, they were
Yeah,
Chapel Hill,
I
and
think
I
that's right.
I've discovered. I mean, hey, what's this? Oh, the Chapel Hill connection, and so that was really neat. Yeah, I enjoyed their flavor of new wave. Swimming
Oh
Pool,
yeah.
good
Well,
band. I love their stuff. I love their ponies. When I
that's a
little.
great. That was a great band. Now, that was the band that we're probably the most connected with at the time. We played with them a number of times, and Steve, our guitar player, booked them into the Greenville Club a bunch of times. Great band. We sort of aspired to be something like them. I think we
Well,
never were that good, but
you mentioned it earlier. What was that band that was very psychedelic? You said that was on a compilation that. I'll go back and listen to this playback.
psychedelic. What I was saying, the Popular Mechanics was this sort of nugget style band that
Popular
Dick
Mechanic. Yeah,
managed them. Yeah, they had a single, but it might be kind of hard to find.
yeah. Popular Mechanics. I want to see if I can find them on the YouTube and do that. Yeah. Popular Mechanics. Good morning, Squad Away. Thanks for joining us. Heading to Peachland, moving to the country. Oh, that's where. Is it Gaffney? Is it Gaffney that has the peach
It is.
and the butt? There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, like a giant orange ass for a long time.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and show us something, Ken, if you got something ready. If not, I have
All
something.
right, all right. So
Yeah.
swimming pool cues leads me back to Atlanta and Athens, and this is another one called "Make the City Grovel in Its Dust." Look at that cover; it's pretty great.
Yeah. It is cool. I'm not familiar with that one.
This is on Twilight Records, which was from Covington, Georgia, basically Atlanta, the Atlanta area. Uh, these were bands that 90% of them I doubt you ever heard of or saw unless you happen to be in Atlanta or Athens at the time. They were pretty obscure. The main exception is Mercyland. They had a career for sure. And David Barbie, who is the main guy, the bass player and lead singer for Mercyland, ended up in Sugar with Bob Mould as the bass
Oh,
player.
Yeah.
And he's produced records. He still has a production studio in Athens that produces tons of things and lots of bands that you would know. Um, and he's been very successful. Mercyland was sort of like the punkiest band in Athens for a number of years. Sort of sounded like Husker Du.
Yeah. It was awesome.
But if you put this on, you know, if you find one of these things, you probably find it pretty cheap. It's just not a lot of name appeal. But man, it'll take you back. It'll take you over a place.
Dollar bins. Yeah, I will love to hear that. Yeah. Sometimes stuff like that's on YouTube, but it's hard to find, hard to search. And I mean, just like I'm going to search popular mechanics, you know. And then I remember years ago, the first time when you first told me about the Beef People, and I was like, well, I remember hearing that the Beef People were going to play at the Fallout Shelter, and you said yes, and then it took me forever to find it on eBay. I mean, not eBay, but to find it on YouTube. So I think I'm going to put a link in the chat for people if they'd like to check out your single. That would be really cool. Yeah. And do you know who put that up there on YouTube, Ken? October Art 66. Do you know October Art 66?
No, I talked to the rest of the guys, and nobody knows that person. Just somebody who saw us one day, or even just took a chance on a single that somebody recommended or heard. You know, the college radio stations at the time played the single. You know, so could have been anybody. There's a blog called Willfully Obscure. Have you heard of that one?
Willfully Obscure. Yeah.
Willfully Obscure. And he posts a lot of sort of lost obscurities online and talks about them, reviews them, and that sort of thing. And he reviewed the single, I guess it was last year, and put it in his list of 2019 finds or something like that. So he really dug it.
That's cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's great. Thank God for YouTube keeping a lot of music like that available for people, because how many of those were pressed?
Oh, God. 100, 200, not too much.
Really rare, really rare. So, but I keep hoping that one day I'm going to open up my email and it's going to say Record Store Day, the Beef People. So maybe one day that happens. Yeah. Real quick, super great cowboy band. Says it's Greenville, North Carolina. The one guy who's real popular here, and I can't remember his name right now. Credits, please. Credits. Curtis. No. Clyde Maddox. He plays still on here, and so that's really cool. Yeah. I get called in credits and reading all the stuff, and I just enjoy that. Thank God. Especially with my vision, it's hard to read the CD stuff. So go ahead. Okay, Ken. Hey, good morning, Junkin Data Girl. How are you? Thanks for stopping by this morning. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate that. Early in the morning. You got something to share with us, Mr. Ken?
Oh, sure. We keep going with the same theme. So this is a label from Alabama around, I don't know what year this was, but let's say it was like late 80s, I would imagine. And it's called Ghost Snake Monster Friend. Why it's called that, not really sure. Not like, it was one of those kind of, the artwork clearly had certain aesthetic that was sometimes popular at the time. Looks a little punk rock, but in actuality, most of these bands are a little on the poppier side. A lot of them revolving around that Tim Lee, Robin Sutcliffe axis, the Windbreakers. Do you remember the band, the Windbreakers?
I don't think so.
Very, very poppy indie rock band from.
I do remember the Windbreakers. They had those really cool covers. Yes, I remember the Windbreakers. Yes, yeah. I think I have the records. Are they DC?
Alabama, somewhere in Alabama, like Birmingham, I think, or it may have been one of the other college towns, Tuscaloosa or something. But so those two guys were fairly prolific at the time. They're on this record, and most of the other things that are on here were probably produced by one or two of those guys. Will and the Bushmen played around the college circuit at the time.
I have one of their records here for sale.
Right as Rain. Do you remember them? They were same era, same deal. College circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And the Barking Tribe. They had a record on Ryko Records, I think, at the time.
Love that label. Yeah, they were bandmates with David Bowie.
Yeah, they were from
Label mates. Yeah. Real quick, we spoke about Pressure Boys. I love this record right here.
Great record.
Carry on, Ken.
This particular motif is almost done. This is the last one I have in that series, released today. The Radio Tokyo tapes. I think I forgot.
I've never seen it.
Radio Tokyo tapes. This was
oh, that's Paisley Underground.
Paisley Underground. Lots of stuff from Los Angeles. This is from 1983. And move it so you can see the artist.
The Radio Tokyo tapes.
It's interesting, like the headlining bands you never heard of anymore, the first couple, but then after that, it's like all these people you know, the Long Riders, Bangles, 3 O'Clock, Rain Parade, Minutemen. These were really important bands for the scene and the time. Of course, the Minutemen weren't Paisley Underground, but I guess they were from the same area. But a lot of those bands were pretty much the formation of that whole sound, right?
Right. And what label is that on?
This one's on Ear Movie Records of Santa Monica, California. It's revolving around one of the I think the local nonprofit radio station compiled it, put it out. Radio Tokyo was like a radio show on that station.
Well, the more information you have when you do a YouTube search, it helps you find it. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out sometime. We had a local band, Chapel Hill, Nikki Misa Hibachi. This was taken in Chapel Hill, off Franklin Street, close to Pepper's Pizza. And Pepper's used to do shows. I remember that. And then this is the last one I pulled. The Milagro Saints has some cats from New York City and one cat from Sheffield, England. Stephen Einarson is a singer boy, and he plays the guitar. But he was in the Jack Rubies, and they were on the same label as TVT.
TVT,
yeah, and of course Joyce Bowden and she's still part of Jerry Harrison, and she's a Casual God. She's on here too, and so local band, they still do it. And
sweet.
I have one of their records for sale, so I have one at home too. Yeah, and then hey, thank you so much, Adam. We appreciate that. I'm sure Ken resonates that as well. But yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely, that's fun.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. So Ken, you went to college and you probably found yourself in the record stores as much as everyone else did during their college days. And what happened after college? Was it like, I can't leave here, leave this wonderful music scene, all these wonderful record stores? So did you ever return back to work at a record store or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I finished school, I moved back home, which was Greenville, South Carolina, from Athens, from a amazing music scene to one that was pretty much what we could make out of it, which was our band. And you mentioned the Popular Mechanics. There were a few others too. And to support myself, I did what I'd done before, got a job at a record store. And then from that record store, moved to another one in Clemson, South Carolina, and then got hired by Manifest Records he had a store in Columbia, and he wanted one in Greenville. So I opened up his Greenville store with him, and moved back to Greenville from Clemson. Worked for Manifest from 1986 to, this is aging me, right, to 2003, and managed stores, or was in purchasing and that sort of thing. Loved it. I mean, I've done that more than anything else in my life. Now I sell records to find record stores across the country, from a wholesale standpoint. Miss my record store days, miss talking to people about music, all day long. And then, of course, I don't miss the long hours, which, if you guys don't know, Adam works constantly, all the time. Every record store owner I know works all the time. So next time you see him, say, man, hang in there. Thanks.
Please
Especially
recover
this time.
so I can skedaddle, absolutely.
Especially this time, these guys have, had to close for a period of time, and revenue wasn't there, but they're still having to maybe work harder to sell things because they're trying to sell things in a different way online. So support your local record stores. I know if you're listening to this, you already are, but maybe tell a friend to drop by the record crate and do some fun crate digging as soon as possible.
Yeah. And Ken, where do you like to crate dig now?
Well, my local is Lunchbox here in Charlotte. Great store.
Great store.
Yeah, fantastic. Scott's an old friend. We used to work together, and he runs a great store, knows exactly what he's doing. And there are others here in town. The actual Manifest is still open, by third or fourth different ownership, but it's owned by one of the big chains now, and it's not quite what it was. That doesn't say that they don't have a lot of records. You could definitely spend some time in there too. And those are the main two. There are there's a guy named Repo. I haven't been in there since he reopened, and there was the Wax Museum that I believe closed now.
Yes. He reached out to me many times when he was closing the Wax Museum. He's in Myrtle Beach now.
He moved to Myrtle Beach. Kind of retired.
I'm not sure if he has a store. Was it Chris? Chris.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's moved Wax Museum there or not, but I tried for the longest time to get the big sign that he had. And I'm like, I want that sign. But, I always say, whenever I get the Beatles stuff in, the people from Charlotte want to come there and buy everything, if I get something kind of rare. But with that said, I'm sure I could finagle one of those Beatle guys, say, come on down, I got something special for you if you pick a break of this. But I tried to get the sign from Chris, and I love that sign. Wax Museum. Yeah. But I think he loved 7 inches, and I think he liked older 7 inches from the 50s and 60s, and I think he liked the beach music.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Beach music fanatics were always in there. The beach music DJs were constantly up in there.
Yeah. And I always heard wonderful things about Wax Museum. So, yeah.
Fun. A completely different thing than most record stores that you think of now as your local independent record store. He was, he's a museum. I mean, it was all about a particular point in time. He didn't go quite very much past that, right? It was pretty much up until a point, and then that was it.
Absolutely, yeah. Ken, I have enjoyed this. I appreciate your time. I know you got to take care of the world with records today and cool things like that. But hopefully Fridays are a little bit of a slide into the weekend for you. If it feels like Friday to anybody, I'm still having to look at my phone every day to see what day of the week it is and what do I have to do today. Yeah. Loving the local artist chat. Thank you so much, Adam. I think Adam's going to join me one morning soon. Looking forward to that. Went to the Manifest while on a business trip. Didn't like the FYE.
Right. They own them now. Yes.
Oh, is FYE a little pricey? Is that what you're saying, Adam? No, still a cool store. Also went to Lunchbox, cool little spot. I love the big mural on the side of Scott's store, and that's his newer location, which is maybe 2 years now. I don't know. I remember he moved, so that was really neat. Yeah. So yeah. Ken, big plans for the weekend?
I'll listen to some vinyl this weekend. I've got some new things that have come in. I haven't even cracked yet, so I do that. Try to get outdoors a little bit. You know, it's supposed to be very nice here, as I'm sure it is there tomorrow. So we'll be outside some tomorrow. How about you?
I'm open in Raleigh today, 11 to 4. With restrictions and limitation for walk-in traffic. I'm in Wake Forest tomorrow, same time, same restrictions, and I'm back in Raleigh on Sunday. So I'm just alternating between the stores. I'm the only one working, so gotta keep people with vinyl at their disposal. So there we go. So other than that, continue trying to list things online, continue to answer questions and invoice and ship, and I'm sure I'll probably do another YouTube sale at some time. Did a wonderful CD sale. CDs, if they're beautiful, I put them on the shelves. If they have a mark, I still think they would play okay. But you know how people are. We only want to buy it if it looks great. So I've been stacking them up, and so been doing some dollar sales. I think they all play just fine, but just presentation. So probably try to do some more sales this weekend on YouTube. Maybe one from Raleigh, one from Wake Forest, and then just trying to get caught up on life. And so here we are, and that's what my plans are. Yeah.
Well, keep fighting the good fight. Enjoy your coffee this morning. And it was a pleasure to be here. It was a lot of fun.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Ken. I'm going to end the broadcast, and if you'll stay right there, I'll get a chance to say goodbye. Hey, thanks everybody for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Ken Norton, for hanging out with us, and put a link to a 7-inch single that's on YouTube of his band, if you guys like to check it out. And look forward to more coffee and vinyl. And I'm always looking for guests to join me on a early morning coffee and vinyl chat. Take care, everybody. Have fun. See you soon.